I have spent literally an entire month trying to figure out how am I going to make Thorin amazing? How will I crush my enemies with my very first, my one and only tier 3 good side commander? And I got some bad news for you. I could not figure it out. I have talked to lots of people trying to find someone, anyone who could make Thorin good, worthy of the commander that he is, the character that he is in Lord of the Rings, and I found nothing. So, in this video, I'm going to share with you everything that I tried. I'm going to give you a guide for Thorin and give you the very best optimizations that I possibly can with everything that I've tried, with every build and every combo, and let's see what we can do. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and I really have spent an outrageous amount of time working on this commander. He's the only T3 I have, and I couldn't find a way to make him good. Now, I found a base set of equipment that I'm going to talk about in a minute that I thought if I can get some decent reports, just some decent reports with my Thorin, okay, then I'll go all in and invest every legendary I have into the equipment I put onto him, because I know it's worth it. And that's my philosophy in general with a new commander, is run them with the best equipment that I can afford to give them, but don't invest heavily in it until you know that it's working. And when you see that it's working, then obviously better stats means better results. But I am not getting results that I have found to be worthy of that further investment. And it's really, quite frankly, extremely disappointing. So Thorin has not been amazing. I made great sacrifices, shredding just a shocking amount of my vouchers to try to get more of his respect, because I thought that the promised land was going to be at the second tier of titles, so loyalty level 3, and I did not find that at all. I tried builds where I use his Revivalist, which is a healing ability, and I use his stuns, and I try to front load damage, and I use a little bit of King Under the Mountain to support it. So using these two titles in conjunction didn't work. I tried using just the two leftmost titles, the Oaken Shield, giving you a stackable damage received reduction, right? You take less damage and it stacks over the course of the fight. With a Revivalist, like a healing, tanking thing, it didn't work either. And now I'm trying this build, which is the combination of King Under the Mountain, and it's really all in on commander damage, making it so that you ignore the physical defense of the target, and you make it so you do more damage up front, skill damage specifically, and you have lots of skill damage in here, and it just isn't working, folks. It isn't working. So I've tried all of these combinations, and I can't get consistent good reports. And I'll run around, and I'll think I do pretty... Oh, I did pretty good against that Gandalf. Okay, feels good. And then an Éowyn will roll up, and she's got stun immunity, and that counters a part of his kit. And it's like, bruh, I'm getting sauced by Éowyns. Gross! It's not to say that Éowyn isn't good, but like, why am I investing all of this energy into a T3 when I could just roll up with Éowyn and keep putting respect into her and get all these and pwn noobs with that? Man, it's just really confusing. So I've not found a way to make him good. I found a way to make him fine, but not a way to make him great, which is what I was really hoping at the tier 3 level of rarity. Now, I'm still open to doing more testing. I'm still trying to figure it out. He's doing not great against Theodens, so it's not like he's an important counter to a very difficult thing. The problem is that it feels like he's in this halfway point of like not being a good DPS commander and not being a good tanky commander. And just like Arwen, she's like somewhere kind of in the middle, although I'll say he's more on the DPS end of the spectrum rather than the tank end of the spectrum, and not by a little, but by a lot. But it's still like not enough to be good. So that's what I'm struggling with. And in terms of the troops that I've used with him, I've been running him with a blend, and you can see what I've got now, although I'm running really low on troops, so I'm a little limited here. But I've got a blend of my axe throwers in the back. I've got the Guardians up front, and then I've got a little bit of Ram Rider love in there, front laning, and also we're offering, you know, pretty sick debuff. And they're all dwarves, and all of my equipment is dwarfy equipment. And as I said, my intention was to throw this equipment on here. As I leveled him up, I'd see how he does, and when I got him high level, you know, battle against other players, and if it's going well, just shred all the legendaries I have And I have more than you see here. Just shred all the legendaries I have and just make them really nasty. So what have I put onto Thorin, and what have I tried? I have tried going a high damage route. Why am I going a high damage route? Because Thorin has a shocking amount of tankiness. Oaken Shield is giving you stackable damage taken reduction. That's great. King Art of the Mountain is giving you stackable defense. Not that your Guardians needed more defense, but your Ram Riders did, your Axe Throwers did, so I'm good with it. I have tried going with a punchy route because you already will get a lot of tankiness over the course of the fight, and it did not work. So that equipment that I'm using is the Matic of the Iron Hills. I've got a Might of Dwarves modifier. I looked at these Hammers of Moria, and Army Defense of Dwarves seems cool. I really like Inflicting Madness, but I am going to stack a lot of tankiness over the course of the fight, and then I won't need it anymore, right? It won't even be doing very much for me. Now, maybe that's the wrong way to think about it. Maybe I need to go more all in on that strategy. Here I've got the Durin's Plate, which is giving me Might, hit points for Dwarves, attack for Dwarves. In the first 2 rounds against all enemies, their defense is further reduced, and I did check, and I'm pretty sure this stacks. And then I've got the Iron Bassinet. I mean, all in on dwarf stuff over here, okay? There's some army defense for dwarves, specifically. So I do have some extra defense for dwarves, some might, and stun immunity for the commander. I mean, not the modifier I would have chosen in a perfect world. And I've even got freaking Erebor's Pride, okay? It's might and hit points of dwarves. And also, Second Wind makes it so that all allies remove all debuffs and recover 11.6% hit points. The effect modified by the focus stat, which is kind of tragic because I'm not trying to stack focus on this commander. So I have not found this to kind of work. Not yet. Now, maybe I should be getting rid of my Ram Riders because I have so many things here that are giving you stat boosts. And I should say specifically attack and hit point boosts. And those are disproportionately good for larger command units. Now, the reason for that should be fairly straightforward and easy to understand. If you have 100 of a unit type and they get +2 attack, that's a 200 damage boost. But if I'm using Ram Riders and there's only 50 of them, then I only get 100 damage boost because I'm boosting the flat attack value, not a percentage, but a flat amount. So maybe because of this build I'm running, I just need to go all in on the non-cavalry, and I would have thought all the dwarves is the way to go. I haven't tested it yet. In fairness, I need to go test it. Maybe this will be the way to go, given all these different things. I mean, dude, +2 hit points for dwarves is, again, like twice as good when your command is twice as large. Now, that may be a little bit of an oversimplification because you ultimately do need to factor in how defense works, and maybe I'm oversimplifying, but if there's some other gear that you would recommend for Thorin, I'm definitely open to it. I have played around with Wizard's Fireworks initially, and, you know, focus is not a bad stat on Thorin. Giving him army attack for range is good, given that the command size is large. The heal from Mend is definitely welcomed. But the other thing I just want to call out with this gear that's really tragic is that if you strengthen this gear, you'll notice that the army attack for dwarves just stays at +2. Literally, I am spending 1 legendary weapon, shredding it, to give this 1 star for 3 might? What the heck? So there are breakpoints here with equipment like this that is a huge downside to both the Matic and also the Durin's Plate and also the Erebor's Pride, which is fairly tragic, which is that typically you will only see the secondary stat here of like hit points. That only gets boosted when you reach level 3 and then when you reach star level 5, which sucks. So like there's a huge amount of materials that goes from taking a legendary from 3 to 5. So probably 3 is a good stopping point. And those breakpoints are just really, really, really savage. I wish that you could get 12 or 2 to 2.5 hit points, you know, like something along the way rather than nothing, because that is really savage. Whereas, contrastingly, the Iron Bassinet, look at this. I mean, when you think about 1 legendary worth of commitment, 1 legendary of commitment here to strengthen this is giving me 4 might and 3 defense, whereas 1 legendary of commitment over here is just giving me 3 freaking might. GG. So I'm not sure what to do with Thorin, folks. I don't know. You can get him in Season 2. I've not found him to be all that impressive. And you probably want to see some reports. We're in a very contentious fight now, so some land is changing hands. So let's just get a look over here. Here's a report against Aowen. And I'm like, bruh, this was the one I was talking about where it's like, why show up to the battlefield with Thorin if you're going to lose to a decent Aowen, right? It's not a decked out Aowen. It's just decent. Proper talents, decent gear, no T4s. Like, it's fine. Right, she's stun immune is the problem. And his kit has stuns, and you're really kind of counting on that. If I try to find a few more Theoden reports here, what do we got? Gandalf the Grey. Now, this is a trade where I'm winning. Now, riddle me this as to why Gandalf the Grey is using marshals. I guess you're just trying to front load a lot of damage. Yeah, I guess that is kind of reasonable. But whatever. Marshals on Gandalf the Grey. Like, it's not a combination I'm going to brag about that I beat, because, like, that's not a combination I would run if I was playing Rohan personally. Now, they've got some axe throwers in the back. They've got some cataphracts in the front. Okay. I mean, he did good. Technically, I won this trade against a Gandalf. But, like, kind of barely winning a trade against a Gandalf doesn't excite me. I get that I'm one level lower than him, but, like, this is not God tier Gandalf gear. Not even close. No offense, this player, okay? Build's good. Build's fine. Well, actually, different build than I would have expected, too. They went all in on Wizard. An interesting build. They have only a couple points in Convener. Very interesting. Very interesting. 5 points in Convener. And only 4 points in Fleeting Movements. Choices made that I would not make. But, look, like, people play differently, and they make different choices. Oh, see? And here's what Gandalf does to Aowen. Alright? It's like, GG. Now, that's a different Aowen. Whatever. Let's keep finding a few more of these Thorin reports. I'm just going to flash them up on the screen. Because I want my T3 commander to be someone I'm really excited to use. And I find myself not all that excited to use him. I killed a Pather here. Okay, I'm not going to pat myself on the back for fighting a Pather. So level 28. Okay, sure. We're taking tiles over here. A level 47 Gimli. Okay, this could be an interesting report if it was a full army, but it's not a full army, so don't overthink it. It looks nasty, but that army is already weakened. Here is a level 45 Gandalf. Okay, well, I mean, cool. I beat a Gandalf that's 4 levels lower than me. Okay, I don't know that that's something worth writing home about. You see what I mean? It's decent. It's not bad, but it's also like 4 levels lower than me, and from a gear standpoint, like, it doesn't even have a... Okay. So, like, there's nothing to brag about beating, you know, a rank 0, loyalty 0 commander there. Let's just keep cruising through here. Do I have any more? Oh, I realize that's a fort that nobody was in. Okay. Checking for armies and nobody's in these forts. GG. What do I have here? I swing into a crossing and I hit Gandalf the Grey, who's really low. I lose some troops. I finish him. But there's, again, nothing to brag about for an army that's very, very low. And then here is an Éomer. This is maybe the only report in like, I feel like the majority of the reports that I had that start to catch my attention. But also, he's missing 5 levels on me. So, yeah, like, I beat it. It's not, I mean, it's got blue gear. 1-star epics. Not a knock on his gear, but just pointing out that, like, it's not like I conquered a decked out Éomer. I found the counter to Éomer. Like, I have levels, I have gear on it. I don't exactly have gear on him. I'm not wearing great gear, right? And I say I'm not wearing great gear because an unleveled up legendary is not going to be as good as a start out epic. And I hope that no one hears this as complaining about Theoden. It's more a cry for help. How have you found a way to break Theoden? Is there something that you're doing with him that I should be thinking about, that I should be trying? I've tried all those builds. I can play around a little bit more with the combination that I'm running in terms of the troop composition. And I probably should do that with my equipment. But compared to the majority of the other commanders I'm using at T2 that I am enjoying, this commander is just... I don't know, man. What am I missing? Help me out. What do we got here? Let's see. Against a 46 Dwalin, I did pretty good. That's a full Dwalin. And I don't think it's a Pather. And his equipment is on par with mine. But it is a T1 commander. I don't know. Is Thorin the answer to DPS commanders? I don't think so. I think I get sauced by, like, Theoden. I know I get sauced by Theoden. Oh, boy. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts. What should I be thinking about? What should I be doing? I'm definitely curious for any ideas you've got for how I can potentially make Thorin the thing that I wanted him to be when I unlocked him. And until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.